Hey everybody, it's Josh Alexander from Orange County Housing Market News, your one-stop shop for all things Orange County real estate. So if you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the near future, this is a great place to start. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking specifically to home buyers, whether it's your first home or you currently own a home and are thinking about upgrading in the next couple months. This episode is basically how to prepare yourself to succeed when you do eventually go through the process of buying your next home. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so really quick before we get started today, if you do find this content useful, can you please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button below? And don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that bell button as well. That way you're notified every time a new episode's released. And if you're listening to this on podcast form, if you have a free minute or two at the end, can you please leave me a quick, honest review? It does help other people find the podcast, and I'd really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and now get into how to successfully set yourself up to purchase a home. Now, like I said at the beginning, this is for both people that are buying a home for the first time, as well as those people that own a home right now but are thinking of upgrading in the next couple months or even a year. This is a great starting point for that. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and if you've watched any of my videos about home buying before or just any real estate video in general, you probably already know this, but I want to emphasize it again, is you really need to talk to a lender to get a pre-approval to see the maximum amount of money you can spend on a house, and the maximum amount of money versus what you actually want to spend will definitely be different in a lot of cases, and we'll go over that in a minute. But you need to talk to a lender to figure out, one, if you can qualify to purchase a home, but two, what is that amount that you can qualify for, because that's going to be important in the next step after that. Now, if you've never talked to a lender before, you might be hesitant to reach out to one. It might be a little bit scary, but let me tell you, first thing, one, lenders, they do not charge anything to talk to you. So they're not going to go and charge you a per hour fee for talking to them over the phone, discussing your home buying goals, and giving your financial information to them so they can run the numbers for you. They do it absolutely free. So this is something that I recommend doing months ahead of time, because you want to know where you stand before you really start getting serious about going to tour homes and placing offers. Because if you find out that you can't qualify for a home, or you're not qualifying for as much as you thought you would, the lender could also help point you in the right direction in terms of what you might need to do over the next couple months to really increase your chances of getting that pre-approval that you were hoping for, to make sure that you can actually purchase a home in the future. So it's important to reach out to a lender ahead of time. And again, it's absolutely free, so there's no cost in doing so. So even though it might be a little bit scary to talk to someone over the phone, especially millennials like my generation who like to text, pick up the phone, talk to a lender, let them make some recommendations in terms of what programs you might qualify for, and that way you understand exactly where you are before you can kind of continue going through the home buying process. Now, if you're a seller, so you already have a home, you're selling your home and trying to purchase another, the only additional step that you really need to take is that you also need to, before you talk to the lender, typically talk to an agent and get a comparable market analysis done on your home, or basically a home evaluation, to figure out exactly what your home is worth. And then after that, the agent should also be able to provide you with some type of net sheet to show you this is how much your home is worth after all the fees, everything is said and done. This is how much you're going to walk away with, because then you're going to be able to take that number, give it to the lender, and they can use that when they're calculating how much home you can afford. So you want to take that additional step before you talk to the lender, so you have that information to give them, so that way you have an accurate picture of what exactly you can afford. So you might be thinking, well, I'm at least a few months away from even thinking about selling my home right now. I don't really want to get an agent involved. I don't want them to try to pressure me into selling my home. I don't want to deal with that, and I don't want to waste their time either. So I'll just go on to Zillow, get the Zestimate, run some numbers of my own, and give that to the lender for them to go off of that number. Well, one, if you're working with an agent that's trying to pressure you into selling your home, you probably know this already, but you're working with the wrong agent. So a good agent out there should be taking the numbers, giving them to you, giving you that net amount you can expect to walk away with after everything is said and done, and then putting that in front of you so you can make an educated decision on how you want to proceed. If they're trying to pressure you into selling, again, it's probably the wrong agent for you. Now on the second point with Zillow, if you go on Zillow's website and click on the Zestimate, it will actually say that the median error rate for any home that's not currently on the market is almost 7%. And when you're dealing with properties that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, 7% is a pretty big difference to have when you're trying to figure out how much your home might be worth. So talking to an agent, again, just like a lender, they're free, they're not going to charge anything, is something that I recommend doing, getting that home evaluation done. That way you can get proper numbers and accurate numbers to be able to give to the lender, so that way they can give you the most accurate numbers when you're looking at what your next mortgage might be on your new home. Now, like I said at the beginning, what the lender is going to give you in terms of qualification might be completely different than what you actually want to afford. And that comes down to budgeting. So the lender does look at a lot of your financial picture, but they're not taking everything into account. They're not looking at how much you're spending on your monthly meals. They're not looking at how much you're spending at the grocery store, movie theater. So you want to make sure that you're doing your own budget ahead of time to make sure that you're comfortable with whatever mortgage you're going to end up with based on what the lender is saying that you can be approved for. So they might say you're approved for, let's say, a $4,000 a month mortgage, but you might only be comfortable spending $3,300 a month. You want to know that ahead of time, so that way when you talk to the lender, when you start this process, you already have the budgeting done and out of the way. So speaking of budgeting, if this is your first time purchasing a home and you want some more information on how to budget correctly, how to talk to a lender, what they're looking for in terms of the financial documents, and really set yourself up for success, if you check out the link below in the show notes, I have a free ebook that kind of goes over the entire budgeting process, as well as more details about how to talk to a lender, what lenders are looking for, what information they need. And that will give you that confidence that when you do get to the point when you're ready to start looking for homes and placing offers, that you have a budget figured out, and you also know what your mortgage is going to be. You can put the two together, and that way you're comfortable with everything. So last thing you want to do is get into a home and end up being house poor, where all your money is going to your mortgage. You have no extra money for any kind of entertainment expenses or anything like that. You want to make sure that you're budgeting for this stuff before you start getting too serious, which is why I always recommend starting that process way ahead of time so you know exactly where to stand. So that's the first step. So once you're done with that, you have your pre-approval. If you're owning a home right now, you have the pre-approval as well as the net sheet of what your home is worth. Now you move on to step 2. And this step is extremely important because this is really going to tell you, is this a good time to buy a home for myself right now? Should I wait longer? What do I need to do differently? Do I need to look at different areas? It's a great way to figure out, should I buy a home? When should I buy a home? And if not, what steps should I be taking in the next couple months to get myself to a point where I'm comfortable purchasing a home? So with all that being said, step number 2 is you really need to go to your favorite home search site like Zillow, Redfin, or if you have an agent, you can talk to them because they can plug you directly into the MLS. I myself use a program that connects you directly to the MLS that's not only going to let you select bedrooms, bathrooms, neighborhoods, square footage, but it also allows you to sort for things like open concept, new kitchen, bright natural light. So there's a lot of different things that the program that I have can do. So if you're interested in that, please contact me. I can set you up with that. Otherwise, Zillow, Redfin, they're still great sites to go for. You're really just trying to get an idea of what's out there. So once you pick a site to use to try to figure out what properties might be available that meet your basic criteria, you're now going to want to set up a weekly email. So basically have the system email you once a week with all of the properties that match your criteria. And the reason why you want to do this is because let's say you go through and once a week you're getting those emails, but you're only seeing maybe 1 or 2 places that are popping up every week that you actually might be interested in placing an offer on. In today's extremely competitive market, if you're only seeing 1 or 2 homes a week, odds are, 1, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get into a home right now when your options are so limited. 2, those homes that you are seeing that you like, if you're placing offers on them, you're most likely going to be competing with multiple offers and there's going to be a lot of competition for them. And 3, if you're only seeing a few properties, this might be a good time to kind of reevaluate the different areas and criteria you have. Is it worth expanding into nearby neighborhoods? Is it worth going from a 5-bedroom to a 4-bedroom? This is where you kind of really want to deep dive and figure out, okay, what are my must-haves? what can I live without, and make sure you're just putting the bare bones of what you're looking at in a property into that search criteria. If you do that and you're still only seeing 1 or 2 properties pop up a month, you really have 2 options. One, you can continue your home search, but know that it's probably going to take you more than a couple weeks. You're probably looking at months to be able to find the right home that's going to match your criteria in the right neighborhood, to be able to place an offer and actually get into escrow. So that way you can have the proper expectations when you do go to look for a property, knowing that most likely, it's not impossible, but most likely you're not going to be able to find a property you like the first weekend, put in an offer in, and get it accepted and into escrow. You have to be prepared and know that it might take a few months for you to find the right property and have the right circumstances for you to be able to get into escrow. And 2, if you don't want to deal with that and you don't want to spend months trying to find a home, maybe now's a good time to step back a little bit and saying, okay, what can I do to get myself to a point maybe 6 months from now where I'm going to be able to give myself more options, whether that's trying to figure out how to get more income, how to reduce debt. Again, this is where the lender can come in handy and tell you these are the things you need to do in order to get to this type of price point you're looking at. And that way you can start working towards that and knowing that now might not be the right time for you to buy a home, but you know the plan in place that needs to happen for you to eventually get to that point, and you can start acting on it. So that's why it's important to know. So let's now say that the opposite is true. So you put in that search criteria, and when you do so, every week you're getting 10, 15, 20 properties that are popping up that meet the criteria and actually have homes that you might be interested in putting an offer on. This is going to tell you, again, pretty much the opposite of what I said before. So if you have a lot of homes every single week hitting the market, you now know that currently there's homes out there that match the criteria within the price range you're looking at, and that you're going to be able to place offers probably weekly on properties and have a good chance of getting into escrow relatively quickly. It's still extremely hot seller's market right now. So again, I would never expect or tell a buyer to assume that the first property you place an offer in on is going to get accepted, but you know that you have a chance every single week going forward to be able to place offers and have that chance of getting into escrow, and you don't have to normally plan for months and months and months of home searches like you might have if you're only seeing 1 or 2 or 3 pop up like in the other circumstance. So at this point, when you're seeing that many homes hit the market, you know you're qualified to purchase those homes. Now you can make an educated decision saying, okay, I would like to go ahead and take that next step, start to look for homes, tour properties, place offers. Let me get a hold of my realtor, and that way we can start that process, continue moving forward. So that's why it's extremely important to have that budget as well as that pre-approval ahead of time, because that's really going to dictate, should you look for a home now? Should you wait? If you were to look for a home now, what type of options you're going to have available, about how long it might take to get into a home, and all that information is what you need to really start the process and set yourself up for success. That way you know what to expect. You don't want to go in and basically start looking for homes and then spend month after month looking for homes and eventually get sick and drop out because you weren't expecting that. If you know it's going to take you a while to get into a home, you're less likely to drop out, and you're more likely to continue, persevere, and continue to place offers when you do find homes, and just know that it's going to take a little bit longer. Because right now, and I'll release a new episode with my October update next week, but just a sneak peek, interest rates are going up. So interest rates are going up, appreciation's going up. Both of them are not going to be slowing down anytime soon. So if you're thinking of buying a home and you're thinking about doing it in the next 6 months and you're able to do it now or start the process now, it's only going to benefit you, because the more appreciation happens, the more interest rates go up, the less home you're going to be able to afford. And maybe you're kind of at the top of your price point right now. And especially if you're at the top of your price point right now, you probably want to start sooner than later. Otherwise, you might get priced out of that by, let's say, next spring if you wanted to wait until after the holiday season to start looking. So just to recap, you want to make sure that you're going through getting that pre-approval, whether you're thinking of buying now or a couple months from now or even a year from now. It's good to have that baseline to know exactly what you can afford currently, because then you can take that information, plug it into a system like Zillow, Redfin, or your realtor's system into the MLS, and figure out how many opportunities am I going to have every single week to find a home, to place offers. And then based on information, you can really plan out when you want to start looking for a home. And when you start looking for a home, you know exactly what to expect and you're setting yourself up for success. So I hope you found that information useful. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye.